And I would like to welcome you once again to this month's Wildlife Relief webinar. Today's webinar is on prescribed burn associations, presented by David Riley, staff biologist with Plateau Land and Wildlife Management. Today's webinar is made possible through funding provided by San Antonio Livestock Exposition Incorporated, and it's hosted by the Texas Wildlife Association and Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. With that, David, we'll have the controls shortly, and you should be good to go.
All right. Well, thank everybody for coming out today and listening to this webinar about prescribed burn associations. Like Clint said, I'm staff biologist at Plateau Land and Wildlife. We're a private company based out of Central Texas. We serve private landowners throughout the state, and we work with them on wildlife management plans, as well as helping them out with their wildlife tax valuations. We are also a member of Integrated Land Advisors. We're one of the 4 companies. Our company, Integrated Land Advisors, is a group of companies that deals with law, real estate, as well as wildlife management for private landowners throughout the state. So let's go ahead and jump on into this. Some of the topics I'm going to go over today is the history of prescribed fire, a little bit of the basics behind prescribed fire, talk a little bit about the associations that exist as of right now. Then we're going to get into the meat of what most landowners are really worried about, the rules and regulations surrounding fire, as well as liability and insurance, and how that goes along with the prescribed burn associations. Talk a little bit about the benefits that the associations provide, how you can get involved, and then I'm going to end the whole entire webinar with a bunch of resources that are going to be good for any landowner wanting to get into the prescribed burning, as well as wanting to be a part of a prescribed burn association. Can really help them get started on that. Like I said, let's jump into it. So the history behind prescribed fire. One of Aldo Leopold's 5 tools of wildlife management was fire. Fire has been described in several ways throughout the years, such as a detrimental occurrence to land and life, or a positive management tool that can be utilized to rejuvenate and help return wildlands to their more natural state. I like the quote on the screen here. To understand the present and future use of fire, we need to understand its history. This is a quote from Mr. Butch Taylor, and it really exemplifies what we're going to talk about today. That centuries of fire shaped our understanding and uses, and how prescribed landowners, for private landowners, can utilize this tool as a management tool to meet the goals on their property. Fire's been around just as long as humans have been on this planet, and it's essential for life for early humans, utilizing it for food purposes, warmth, and altering the landscape. Early Native Americans also knew the importance of fire. They were known to set large sections of land ablaze for crop and seed production, wildlife habitat, and especially to reduce the risk of wildfire. Fire was a mainstay for early Native American life until the early Europeans arrived. They came from a highly cultivated and managed land and believed that the intentional use of fire was a waste of valuable resources, and began suppressing fire. So fast forward a little bit to the early 1900s. Fire had nearly been suppressed throughout the country due to fear that it was wasteful, and it also infringed upon the rapid growth of the country at the time. And in 1944, U.S. Forest Service released Smokey the Bear with his iconic saying, "Only you can prevent forest fire." And this really solidified the stigma of fire. And over the next 50 years, fuel loads built up, massive wildfires endangered loss of property and life. And that's when the realization that fire is a natural part of the ecosystem, and it can be utilized as a management tool. So for the past 50 years, that's what wildlife managers and natural resource managers have been dealing with, trying to show that prescribed fire can be used as a management tool, and it's one of the best out there. So a little bit more on the history of prescribed fire. Recent legislation has provided private landowners the opportunity to utilize prescribed burning on their property as a wildlife management tool. House Bill 2599, that was passed in 1999, also known as the Right to Burn Bill, amended the Natural Resource Code and created a prescribed burning board within the Texas Department of Agriculture. The board developed standards for prescribed burning, as well as training curriculum and certification requirements for burn managers, as well as minimum insurance requirements for those burn managers. This bill addresses insurance requirements and limited liability for landowners as well. And below is a little bit of a clip from that. You can see it says the duties of the board pretty much everything I went through just a second ago, the establishing of education and professional requirements, as well as training curriculum. House Bill 2620, which was also passed in 1999, changed the county law around burn bans. This was a big step for landowners in trying to get burning on their property during burn bans. So this allows counties to implement burn bans on outdoor burning during times of drought, which could be determined by the Texas Forest Service. Outdoor burning could occur during burn bans if it was categorized as firefighter training, public utility or gas operations, harvest of agricultural crops, or the burn was actually conducted by a certified burn manager. This allows certified burn managers and prescribed burn associations in some cases to conduct prescribed burns on properties during burn bans, which is a huge step for prescribed burning in the state of Texas. For those of y'all not very familiar with prescribed burning, a lot of the good reclamation burns and a lot of burning that can do a lot of good sometimes for properties need to be done where it's really hot outside and it could be pretty dry. So a lot of counties put on burn bans really soon whenever it starts to get a drought. But this law allowed a little workaround for that for landowners that wanted to utilize it as a tool. Today, several organizations and governmental organizations like Texas Forest Service, Natural Resource Conservation Service, TPWD, the Prescribed Burning Alliance, and other associations, they all work together to ensure the right for private landowners to conduct prescribed burns on their property is protected for years to come. So next I want to talk a little bit about just the basics of prescribed burning and fire. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the prescribed burning and everything about it because we would be here for weeks probably talking. So fire is composed of three main simple things: heat, oxygen, and fuel. Fuel is the material that burns. It can be anything from leaf litter to large overgrown brush. Several factors influence the ability of the fuel to burn, such as composition, density, and fuel moisture. Heat is accomplished by some type of ignition. That could be lightning, fuel mixture. Heat can be maintained by other parts of the fire triangle. Oxygen, as we're all familiar with, oxygen is needed for a fire to burn. Combustion of fuels will not occur with lack of oxygen. So how does this all relate back to prescribing a fire on a property? Well, several goals such as reducing fuels, promoting native grasses, forbs, tree growth, removing non-native and invasive plants can all be accomplished by setting forth a prescribed fire. And knowing those goals is a key to that. And developing a burn plan to meet your objectives, that's very pivotal in having a successful burn. So making sure that you've got good goals in mind, you've got an idea of what you actually want to do on the property, really helps you decide if a prescribed burn is what you want to do. The last question down there I said is why fire and not traditional brush management practices such as mechanical or chemical treatment. So many landowners opt out of utilizing prescribed burning just because of lack of equipment, fear of liability, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, and overall lack of knowledge. So to still meet their goals, utilizing a mechanical treatment or chemical treatment might be possible. One of the reasons that prescribed fire is useful compared to mechanical or chemical treatments is cost. Studies have shown that mechanical and chemical treatments cost between $30 to $55 per acre, depending on what you're doing. That compared to a $2 to $3 per acre on some prescribed burns is the big thing that most landowners look at. They like that. That's a big difference in money. This isn't to say that a burn is always the answer. It's not the silver bullet. Some management goals might actually need mechanical treatment or chemical treatment to get to where you need to be. And it could be a mixture of both, maybe some mechanical and chemical treatment over time, and then maybe a prescribed fire later on down the road. So I started off here with a list of all the known prescribed burn associations in Texas. And as you can see, they stretch all throughout the state, all the way down from the coast, all the way up to the Texas Panhandle, from west all the way east. As of right now, this is the list. I know that they're working on creating some more in Texas, but as of right now, I pulled this off of the Prescribed Burn Alliance website, so I was able to get all the list of them. So I want to talk a little bit about the Edwards Plateau Prescribed Burning Association. For those of y'all that are familiar with it, it was the first prescribed burn association developed in Texas. Suppression of fire in the Edwards Plateau region for most of the 20th century resulted in an abundant growth of ash juniper and prickly pear. Mechanical treatments were utilized for a very long period of time, but landowners were either not pleased with the results or they were turned off by the expensive cost. Prescribed burning was the next answer, but many landowners in the region were worried about liability. They didn't have much knowledge of prescribed burning, as well as they didn't have the equipment to complete a burn successfully. So in 1997, landowners from around the Edwards Plateau met at the Sonora Research Station and were given a tour of the property. The research station had been researching prescribed fire for more than a decade, and after showing landowners the benefits of prescribed fire, they decided to form a prescribed burning association. In 2000, the EPPBA was incorporated. Membership began to grow, nearly doubling in the first year. And today, the EPPBA has approximately 8 chapters across the Edwards Plateau region. Grants and donation money goes toward purchasing new equipment and training for its members. It's the first of its kind here in Texas. Other associations have been modeled off that success. The formation of this association has effectively removed the stigma of fire and successfully integrated prescribed fire as a management tool in the region. So a little bit about the rules and regulations surrounding prescribed fire. So Texas Commission for Environmental Quality, they've set forth standards for prescribed burning that need to be followed by landowners as well as certified burn managers. These rules are put in place to mainly regulate smoke and other pollution factors associated with prescribed burning. A list of those can be found on their website. A few of them are notifying the Texas Forest Service if you're going to be burning in a forest area, posting flaggers along the road as smoke is going to be crossing it, certain regulations on when the burns can be conducted between a 6 and 23 mile per hour winds, as well as burning can't cause a nuisance or traffic hazard. Like I said earlier, the prescribed burning board that was developed with in the Texas Department of Agriculture, they've also developed rules and regulations, such as rules of developing a prescribed burn plan on the property, adhering to notification requirements. There's notification requirements from Texas Commission for Environmental Quality, as well as notification requirements to the local fire department, local sheriff, possibly the county commissioner or judge, depending on if you're in a burn ban or not. And then other rules and regulations do apply for certified insured prescribed burn managers and private certified insured prescribed burn managers, such as burning only in regions that are specific to the license, keeping accurate records of burns conducted. For more information on those, visit the Texas Department of Agricultural website. Like I said, all these websites will be at the end of the webinar. They've got a full list of all the rules and regulations that have to be followed. One very important rule that I mentioned earlier is that if you are part of a prescribed burn association, you may be able to conduct a burn during a burn ban. It is recommended that you speak with the county commissioner, county judge, see if that is the case in the county. It does differ from county to county, so make sure that you do that before you burn. Make sure there's not a burn ban going on before you do anything. So next we're going to get into liability. This is one of the big questions that I get from most landowners. Before I start on this, I do want to mention that I am not a lawyer. This is for informational purposes. So if you are wanting to do a burn on your property, please contact your attorney and talk to them about everything before you do it. This is the way I'm understanding the law, as well as talking with some attorneys. So it's better to get some advice before you just go out there and start burning. So like I said, this is one of the most common responses I get from landowners is, what is my liability as a burn manager on my property or burning my property? So there's 3 legal approaches to liability when it comes to prescribed burning. The 3 are there: strict liability, ordinary negligence, and gross negligence. Strict liability means that all damages from an escape prescribed fire would fall on the landowner, no matter what care was taken. So even if the burn plan was done and you had the right amount of people there to help on your burn, if it escapes and it ends up burning up land next to you, and then maybe unfortunately burning up a house or something, that would all fall upon the landowner at that time. Ordinary negligence, Texas has adopted this as the view on liability when it comes to prescribed fire. This view on liability states that damages caused by an escape prescribed burn falls on the landowner only if general precautions were ignored or neglected. General precautions include, but not limited to, creating burn lines, having suppression equipment on the site, adequate personnel on site, an adequate burn plan. If the landowner shows general precaution for others, as well as has all these things in place, landowner may be able to avoid liability if everything was followed and acted reasonably during a burn. Gross negligence, this means that liability on the landowner for damages only applies if the landowner or burn manager is found to be grossly negligent, meaning that the landowner acts with complete disregard for life or property of others. This is the most lenient form. It is found in the state or in the United States. Some states do have this, but like I said, Texas follows the ordinary negligence, and then if you show general precaution, you should be able to avoid liability. Understanding liability can be a huge worry for landowners that want to utilize burning on their property. But it's good to know the law is on your side. As mentioned before, House Bill 2599, also known as the Right to Burn Act, allows landowners to utilize prescribed fire on their property as a management tool. Exercising sound practices when developing, during, and after a burn, and following rules set forth by Prescribed Burning Board and TCEQ can significantly reduce the risk of having a burn escape. For more information on prescribed burn liability and laws that surround it, visit the Texas AgriLife Extension Agricultural Law Blog. There's some really good information in there. It really goes into depth about the gross negligence, ordinary negligence, and strict liability, as well as helping you understand a little bit more about the liability that might fall upon you, and understanding the state statutes that fall behind that. So since liability is such a huge question, I spent a lot of time researching this, reading through Natural Resource Code. I didn't put the whole Natural Resource Code on here. I didn't want everyone to have to read through that whole thing as well. I do have a link to it, so if you would like to, feel free to read through that. But like I said before, I'm not an attorney, and I don't read through these legal documents on a daily basis. But I did talk to several attorneys and received their opinion on this liability segment I'm about to talk about, the Natural Resource Code, before coming to this conclusion. So in that top segment there, you can see that prescribed burning, it states that owner, leasee, or occupant of the land cannot be held liable for damages caused by prescribed burn if the burn was conducted under a certified and insured prescribed burn manager or by members of a prescribed burn association. So that kind of releases the landowner of liability. But in this section a little bit below, it was found in the same Natural Resource Code under insurance that says that limitation of liability that was previously mentioned does not apply to the owner, leasee, or occupant unless the Prescribed Burn Association carries the required insurance outlined by the Prescribed Burn Board. Again, to reiterate that point, that if a burn is either conducted by a certified or insured prescribed burn manager or members of the insured Prescribed Burn Association, then the landowner would be released. So the insurance really matters there, that if you were burning on your property and you were or you didn't have a prescribed burn manager doing it, you could be held liable for everything. As well as the Prescribed Burn Association. You are part of an association, but they don't carry the insurance requirements put forth by the Prescribed Burn Board, then you would be held liable for any damage. So that kind of brings me into the next point of insurance. So insurance requirements have been outlined in the Natural Resource Code for private and commercial certified burn managers. The code states that the burn manager must have $1 million for each single occurrence of bodily injury or death, or injury to or destruction of property, and a policy period minimum aggregate limit of at least $2 million. As required by the Natural Resource Code, the Prescribed Burn Board must develop insurance requirements for the Prescribed Burn Association as well, and the Prescribed Burn Board develops requirements that match that of the certified and private burn managers. A landowner that is burning on their property is not required to have liability insurance if you're not burning with a burn manager or an association, but will be held liable for any damages if the fire does happen to escape. Most prescribed burn associations today don't carry insurance, which according to the statute would not give the landowner that limited liability. So it's prudent to practice and required by most prescribed burn associations to have your own liability insurance when conducting a burn. The thing about that is most people that own properties, they may already have liability insurance through Texas Farm Bureau, Germania, whoever their insurance carrier is on their property, that may cover a prescribed burn. So it's important to review your policy declaration page, endorsements, exclusions, and limitations to see if you might actually carry enough liability insurance already for a prescribed burn. This all being said, if you're a landowner looking to burn on a property with either a CI or with a certified burn manager or a private burn manager or a prescribed burn association, it's prudent to invest in liability coverage anyway. It would be a great thing to have on your property, even if you have insurance coverage somewhere else, or if you're receiving that limited liability because you're using a certified burn manager. But having that limited liability just for coverage on yourself and ease your mind a little bit, that would be the best choice in my mind. So a little bit about prescribed burn associations, and that's what we're here to talk about. But so other than liability, the most common issue I come up with that I get from landowners when conducting a burn is the lack of knowledge about fire. Associations have tackled this issue very well by offering opportunities for landowners not only learn from behind a book, but also to get out in the field and have some real-life experience. Associations work closely with TPWD, Texas Forest Service, Natural Resource Service to continue education. Texas Parks and Wildlife in the past has offered private landowners and associations to join biologists on wildlife management areas across the state during prescribed burns so they can learn the ins and the outs of burning, as well as the management goals that are trying to be met. Another issue that prescribed burn associations have tackled is the lack of personnel required to conduct a burn. One of the requirements of a burn plan is to decide the amount of help that will be needed to successfully and safely complete that burn on the property. Private landowners may have friends and family that would be willing to help, but sometimes that just isn't enough depending on the acreage and the intensity of the fire that you're expecting. So associations offer that network of experienced and like-minded landowners that have been trained and understand how to use the equipment to use during a burn. This is a very valuable benefit of association. I don't know how many times that landowners had issues getting people out there to help them burn. It does require a lot of personnel, sometimes on these big burns. So equipment is another high cost that is a big benefit for joining an association. Many landowners don't have or can't even afford some of the equipment that may be necessary. Associations allow for pooled equipment to be used by all. So this actually works out better than a landowner sometimes potentially spending thousands of dollars on equipment such as grip torches, firefighting rigs, hand tools, and other fire equipment. And they do a burn and then it just sits in their barn for 2 more years until they burn maybe 2 years later or 3 years later. So being able to use this pooled equipment, it can be used throughout the whole entire association, and everyone can benefit from it. So one of the goals of the association is also to get like-minded landowners together and discuss and evaluate benefits of burning on their property, as well as benefits of prescribed burning you may have on large tracts of land. As you may already know, the land of Texas is nearly 95% privately owned, which is a considerable difference when compared to other states such as Wyoming and Idaho, whose less than 50% of the land is privately owned. This makes a huge difference when discussing management of land in Texas. Associations bring together neighbors to join forces in management of their lands for better wildlife habitat, rangeland, and even grazing cattle. It's neighbors helping neighbors, as I like to say. Together, landowners can make a difference on the land in Texas. Along the same lines, associations can also help landowners develop management goals for their properties that may or may not include prescribed burn immediately. Members of associations have consult with professional biologists to make sure that what they're doing is a possible best land management practice. So how to get involved? So first check with the Prescribed Burn Alliance of Texas website. See if there's already an association in your area. If so, visit that website, follow the contact information, make some contacts with the members of that association, and then they'll be able to help you out and get set up and get started and go into meetings and talking with other landowners in your area. Membership dues do vary from association to association. They typically sit around $25 to $50 to join the organization. There may be some other costs involved for continuing education or some classes that you might want to take. All associations require members to participate in continuing education as well as other landowners and burns. That's a very, very important fact that I'd like to mention, that you have to be involved with other people's burns. This isn't a contracting service. This isn't where you can pay someone to come out and burn your property. It's a learning environment. So you'll go out and learn on other people's properties and learn how to burn, learn the ins and outs of the burn plan, what to expect before you actually get to burn on your property. That goes back to that neighbors helping neighbors thing. This allows you to gain experience in the field as well as get to know some of those other landowners. Participation is also required, like I said, if you want to burn on your property. So reach out to your county extension agent, your Texas Parks and Wildlife biologist for information about educational opportunities in your area. Like I said before, TCWD and other agencies offer a variety of educational opportunities for landowners throughout the state. Also, don't limit yourself to only prescribed burning. Look into outreach programs that may discuss management activities that you may be interested in, such as habitat management or forest management. A lot of times those really talk about prescribed burning as a management tool and go into depth a little bit about it as well. And then having a solid idea of what you want to do with your property is another good stepping stone for getting involved with an association. Talking with a biologist from TPWD or a private company such as Plateau, and developing a wildlife management plan or a management plan for the property, land management plan for the property, will give you a great outline of the actions that need to be taken and give you a good outline of the goals for your property. So next, I wanted to go through a little bit of the burn process with a prescribed burn association. And this is just kind of how it goes. After you join an association, what are the steps? You're going to probably first start off going to other people's burns, but this is the process of whenever you're allowed to start having a burn on your property. So it usually begins with talking with a TPWD biologist. AgriLife Extension, there may be a biologist working with the association that you'd be talking with to get everything going and get the ball rolling. What they're going to do is they're going to come out to the property and look over and see if a prescribed burn is even a necessary thing on your land. Again, this goes back to the goals. If you have a certain goal that wouldn't require a prescribed burn, it may not be necessary to go out there and do that. But if the biologist believes that a burn would benefit your property to help meet your goals, then you're going to go ahead and start developing a burn plan. The Prescribed Burn Alliance of Texas has developed a burn plan template that's followed throughout the state. Filling out this form can be extensive and possibly confusing at times. This is where it's beneficial to attend seminars, training events, watch webinars about prescribed burning, and learning prescribed fire at that time. As you make your way through the plan, be sure to make notes, questions that you might have. So after running through that burn plan yourself, be sure to contact the designated burn manager or the person that's going to be helping you out within the association. He or she will be able to help you complete the burn plan, answer any questions that you might have. At this time, it's beneficial to have a map of your property as well. This may also require a visit to your property by the person that's helping you out in the burn association. After getting the plan prepared and looking for insurance requirements, that would be the next thing. So talking with your insurance company, finding out what they do cover. If they don't cover a prescribed burn, then maybe talking with that insurance company about getting prescribed burn insurance. Like I said, Texas Farm Bureau, Germania, they both offer prescribed burn insurance or some type of liability insurance that would cover a prescribed burn on your property. So after getting that plan prepared and looking for insurance requirements, you can typically go ahead and start preparing the land for a burn. So preparing the land by cutting fire lines, removing brush piles, removing dangerous snags, things like that, so that whenever that weather does turn out and you're ready to burn, you don't have to worry about that stuff the night before. The thing that you can start doing at the same time that you're preparing that land, and even as you're working on the insurance and the plan, is start scoping out the weather for the days that kind of match the weather that's in your burn plan. Be patient during this process because weather has a mind of its own. It's common to postpone a fire several times due to weather just not being right or changing at the last minute. that happens. You can ask anyone that burns on a regular basis that weather is one of the biggest keys to having a successful burn. So don't get discouraged. Be patient. You will get the burn going at some point. Next, begin looking for some volunteers. Again, that one can be done higher up as you're working on the plan. If you're working with an association, there's probably plenty of landowners willing to help out. You can also utilize neighbors, family, and other friends. Be sure to check with your association about utilizing other volunteers outside of the association, just to make sure, because they might not have the same proper training as everyone else before they just jump on the burn with you. So as the day of the burn approaches, begin to make your notifications. This should be outlined in your burn plan. Make sure everyone's contacted, such as the fire department, the county sheriff, if necessary, contacting the county judge or county commissioner about your burn, let them know that you're going to be burning today. So finally, the moment has arrived that you've been waiting for. Lighting fire. Be sure that you stay on the property at all times during the entire burn. Be sure that you have copies of the burn plan and insurance on site. Ask questions before anything kicks off. If you have a question about something, like I said, the prescribed burn associations are full of landowners and other like-minded individuals that are very knowledgeable about how to do these prescribed burns. So they'll be able to help you out. They'll be able to walk you through the steps before you get going on that burn completely. And be prepared for a long day. Sometimes it can take a long time for those fires to burn out. Then you got to the next part, mop up. As it ends, you and several other volunteers are going to walk around out there. Make sure you put out any hot spots and make sure that there's nothing out there that could be a danger if the wind does happen to pick up later on that day. So you've successfully completed the prescribed burn. Like I said, these are general guidelines. They may change from burn to burn and association to association. So be sure to check with your association about the burn process. It's usually written out in the rules and regulations of how to go about doing a burn on your property. So other prescribed burning options. If there is an association in your area, there are several steps you can take to create one. Many associations are always looking to expand. Like I said, the Edwards Plateau started out with a group of landowners in one area and has now grown to 8 chapters. So that's 8 different chapters of burn associations from this one group. So they're always willing to expand. So yeah, that's where I would start, is looking to make sure that there's not one close to your area. And go ahead and contact them and see if they'd be willing to reach out and help you in your county. Talking with your local biologist, TPWD, NRCS, Texas Forest Service, and see if there's another way to get the ball rolling. Biologists know a lot of landowners in the area. They're quite possibly to talk to others that might be wanting to do the exact same thing that you are. So it's just about getting you two in touch and starting to work on developing prescribed burn associations at that point. Another option is working with TPWD to get advice and help on a burn. Last year, Texas Parks and Wildlife conducted 60 to 70 burns throughout Texas on private lands. No acreage is too small. It allows TPWD to provide real-life experience for their workers as well as the surrounding landowners. This might spike an interest in prescribed burning and might develop a prescribed burn association down the road. I like to point out for absentee landowners that really don't want to be involved with prescribed burn. There are contractor services throughout the state of Texas that provide prescribed burning turnkey operations on properties. This acreage and equipment needed, but it is an option. If you're looking to have a contractor out there, please feel free to contact me. I'm going to have my information here. I do have some resources for some contractors that do prescribed burns on properties, but if that is something that you're going with, really need to make sure that you vet the person, I guess you'd say, just to make sure that you don't take any chances. This is your property, and you could be liable for anything that happens while it happens. Lastly, one of the last things you can do is you can become your own prescribed burn manager. Like I said, a landowner can burn on their property without being a prescribed burn manager. They do have to fall inside certain rules, such as not in a burn ban. But if you'd like to burn on your property during a burn ban, you can become a private burn manager. This requires a 5-day course, as well as you have to have some experience. So you have to go on some other burns before you could officially be called a burn manager. But then you could develop a burn plan and burn on your own property. This would require you to find that necessary personnel, equipment, and can be fairly expensive. So the Prescribed Burn Association is a really easy way for landowners that want to utilize this tool and want to save some money. It's a really good tool for landowners to look into. So my final remarks, in conclusion, Prescribed Burning Associations are a landowner-driven group of like-minded property owners that offer educational and practical experiences on conducting prescribed burns. With Texas becoming more and more populated and land fragmenting becoming a more common occurrence, burning large tracts of land to benefit wildlife and range management is becoming more difficult. Associations offer the opportunity for landowners to band together and pool resources in an effort to restore native lands to Texas. Be sure to talk with your local Prescribed Burn Association or National Resource Biologist about the rules, regulations, and benefits that you may receive for being part of the Prescribed Burn Association. Landowners should also understand the liability requirements set forth by the state, as well as their insurance policies, to be sure that they're covered for prescribed burning. If I don't hit that section home hard enough, that's the big one. Always double check that you're covered liability, that you have the right insurance. That's the last thing you want to happen is if a fire does escape, that you don't want to have to worry about liability and insurance coverage. Finally, my last piece of advice is using sound judgment when deciding to burn on property. Developing a detailed burn plan, following notification rules and requirements, preparing the land correctly, ensuring the safety of all those involved are key to having a safe and successful burn. So I'd like to thank Clint for giving this amazing opportunity to talk about this that I feel strongly about. Chris Shinek, I hope I said that right, TPWD Statewide Fire Program Leader, for talking with me about TPWD's efforts to educate and promote Prescribed Burn Association throughout Texas. Mr. Butch Taylor, the Sonora Research Station, for his insight about developing the first Prescribed Burn Association in Texas. Life Extension, for thoughts and understanding on the law surrounding prescribed burning. Below, there's all my information. I will stop on this slide here. These are all the different resources that I went through to find the information that I have. Like I said here, there's all the Prescribed Burn Alliance. That's where you can find a lot of good information about the Prescribed Burn Associations in your area. They've got a good list of it all there and all the contact info. The Commission for Environmental Quality, the Forest Service, and the Texas Department of Agriculture. So you're going to find a lot of rules and regulations. NRCS, TPWD, Define a Biologist, the TPWD Wildfire Management Program. It's where you can really get to talk to somebody about prescribed fire, as well as Agri-Life Extension. The Agricultural Law Blog, that's where I got a lot of information about liability insurance. And like I said, Tiffany has really helped out on that and really done a lot of research. The last one there is going to be a little bit about the Natural Resource Code and prescribed fire, so you can read over that. And then here's all the Prescribed Burn Associations. These aren't all of them. Some of the Prescribed Burn Associations don't have a website. The ones that do, I put them on here. Let me see. I'm going to look back through some of these questions. Clint's been giving them to me here. Let's see what we have.
We've got a couple of them here.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've got one here from Wade Caldwell. For the Trans-Pecos, but not sure if it ever got going. Any groups that operate in Brewster or Jeff Davis counties? To be honest, I'm not 100% sure about those two counties. What I would recommend doing is looking at that Prescribed Burn Alliance. There should be at least somewhere close to you out there. And you also, with these Prescribed Burn Associations, they might have a 4 or 5 county section that they're working in, but they don't mind reaching out 2 or 3 counties over and helping out. So that's what I would recommend doing, is going out to that Prescribed Burn Alliance and find one that might be close, if not in Brewster or Jeff Davis County, and they should be able to help you out, or at least get you started getting one set up out there. Let's see here. All right. Sol Ross published a study that says prescribed burn does not reduce white rust unless chemical treatment is used after. That's a good question. It'd be something I have to do a little bit of research on. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I do know that there is a lot of management practices out there that you're going to have to utilize a chemical or a mechanical treatment before prescribed burning is utilized. It could either be that there's way too much fuel load, and it could be too dangerous of a burn. It could also be that a burn just might not actually help out with controlling that species of plant. That's a very good question, though. I'm going to definitely research that a little bit. But I would say that it could be true. Sol Ross put it out there. It's definitely something to look into. I think that might be the end of them. If anyone else has any more questions, please feel free. I'll be hanging around here for a little while. I do want to put this back to my information here. If you have any questions that you just couldn't get to today, or you got to get going, feel free to send me an email, give me a phone call. We can sit down and talk a little bit about prescribed burn associations, any other questions that you have as well. Like I said, we work with private landowners throughout the whole state, so I'm always willing to talk with landowners about any questions that they might have about their property. So please feel free to take down my email and our phone number and give me a call.
Very good. Thank you, David. So if y'all have any more questions, please feel free to pop them up and we'll address them as they come in. A couple things from my end. This presentation has been recorded and will be posted on our website, the link that I just shared there, as well as on our YouTube page. So if you'd like to go back, watch it all over again, hear all the comments, you can find it there. Also, we will be having another webinar the third Thursday of next month. So August 17th, the importance of record keeping and wildlife management valuation by Shane Kiefer, also with Plateau Land and Wildlife. And so you'll use the same link to get here, Texas-Wildlife at WebEx. And so same link to get here, same time, same place. And I don't see any questions that have come in. So David, unless you have anything else, we'll call it quits there. I really appreciate the time.
Well, thanks, Clint, for everything, and thank everyone for attending. This was an amazing opportunity. I'm glad to get to talk to landowners about the prescribed burn association. And again, there's my information up there. I think Clint's going to leave that for a few more minutes. Feel free to give me a call, send me an email, and I can see if I can answer anybody's questions. Thank y'all again.
Yeah, to follow up with that, I'm going to leave this slide up, and then in a couple minutes, I'm going to swap it over to this to the next slide, that resources tab. So if you want to jot down this information, jot it down, and then I'll swap it over to this last slide here in just a few minutes. So I'll leave everything up for a second. Well, thank you again, David, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Clint. Have a good day.